Hello, thank you for tuning in. This is Joanne Francis, and today my Organic Divinity broadcast is going to be combined with your Inner Self because this is a beautiful story, Organic Divinity number 9, I believe, and it just kind of brings everything together. And I'm going to start it with, because again, I find humor in the most interesting ways, that today I want to include the scary word, which is not a scary word, but we've been trained and formatted and conditioned to think that the simple word prayer, or prayers in plural, is some type of scary word that you are not allowed to use. And it's through this beautiful story of Organic Divinity, of this lovely woman who happens to be one of my beautiful clients. Well, they're all beautiful, don't get me wrong. And it was her story that, again, as I see and hear and listen, some of the most beautiful stories of Organic Divinity, because it's simply living. The organic part of this divinity is you simply living your day, living your life in the most conscientious, most divine conscious way that you can to lift your own spirituality, whatever that spirituality is, you see. And it's through this beautiful story that I listened to and heard first that somehow, somewhere along the way, we've been, and I as well at some point in my life, were trained to think that the word prayers was strictly and only allowed for somebody who was of Christian faith or religious spirituality, that they are only allowed to use the word prayer. And if you ever, I remember hearing a joke that if you ever wanted to irritate or really tick somebody off that was not Christian of any kind, that was an atheist, was for you to say God bless you to them or namaste with the hand prayer, because they cannot stand the very thought that somebody may be saying a prayer for them. And you see how we get so caught up in these little nonsensical things. And it's this story here, that this beautiful woman had a friend in the family who was suffering an illness and landed in the hospital and needed, and seriously needed, because her health was at risk. She wanted to say some thoughtful things for her. She started off by saying, I didn't want to pray for her because she's not necessarily of that faithful aspect in her. She doesn't have that faith in her life in some degree. And so she didn't want to use the word prayer. But she knew, her soul and her heart knew and was telling her that she needed to do something to send positive thoughts to this woman, her friend, in the hospital. And not knowing what most of us do when we don't know something now, living in a 24/7 Wi-Fi world, she pulled out her phone and said whatever. And I don't remember what she put in the search to begin with. But she ended up on this way to do Reiki, and within herself and to herself, that would allow for these positive thoughts, these healing thoughts, and that's the key word, these healing thoughts that she had. She wanted to transmit them to this person in the hospital. She wasn't going to pray. She wasn't going to pray, but she was going to do some thoughtful and very positive, energetic healing, and she didn't even realize it. And you see, that is the Organic Divinity. What she doesn't realize is that by tapping in to her own heart, mind, and soul, knowing that she needed to do something in some way, shape, or form to send that woman some healing energy, don't tell anybody, she was praying. And that's the beautiful example of just how some of these words have been hijacked. Whether they've been hijacked intentionally by the very people whose lives depend on their religious faith, or whether it is absolutely from the person who is an atheist on steroids, and the last thing you should do is pray. All of that, you see, has now come together as a collective, and you've been praying for your friends and family all along. As soon as you said those words, oh, I'm not going to pray, but I'm going to send some positive thoughts and healing thoughts to that person. Well, you just said a prayer, do you hear? And that is why it's such a nonsensical word. Why did we allow it to get hijacked? Why can't this beautiful woman in my chair not acknowledge that she wants to say a prayer of some kind? It's an acknowledgement, you see. When we say prayers, when we say positive thoughts, when we say positive things, when we're purposely saying and doing things to lift somebody's spirit, we are indeed praying. It may not be praying to a divine. It may not be praying to this divine world of energy. It may not be praying to anyone's specific divine. But the reality is that prayers, and in this beautiful sense of what this beautiful woman was doing, those prayers are the most beneficial. And now, living in a 24/7 Wi-Fi world, not only are they beneficial, but they're more accurate now, you see. Because now we have all of these things we say, all of these things we post, all of these things we email. Those are all circulating out on this beautiful World Wide Web. And so when we say our prayers, when we see something that needs massive prayers, when awful things seem to happen or do happen in this world, in this universe, then we all come together, don't we? And we can now connect with each other in this real, true, universal way because of the beautiful thing we call the internet. It's bringing us together. And so when this lovely client, went through the ritual, or excuse me, the practice is a much better word for that. And when she went through the practice that she saw of how to go through and send this positive, lovely, beautiful energy, it reminds me of a yoga move I learned recently where you literally are making the shape of your heart with your hand when you come up, and then you are bringing in that positive energy to the energy center of your inner self that you need, which is exactly what that beautiful woman did. And now I'm having my organic divine moment, as I always do when I do these recordings, right? Because she now, her inner self, she brought that lovely energy that she was doing on purpose to send out, right? Because she loves her friend and cares for her friend and wanted her friend to get better and to not suffer. Then those prayers went immediately to her friend where they needed to go. And in return, my client received the most beautiful and lovely energetic push or energetic flush of positive love and healing energy within herself. That's how subtle energy works now. In fact, she was quite floored, and she knew that something had absolutely gone on in her own inner self, right? Your inner self are these 7 core areas of energy that science now has proven to be there. And she aligned it and she cleansed it because by her wanting to care, by her figuring a way out to do prayers, she sent that beautiful, lovely, positive, gorgeous healing energy to her friend. And the immediate back, because it's a two-way street when you are harmonizing with the universe, what she sent and what she got back was this beautiful flush of energy that made her feel so good. And she was happy that she was effective in sending it. And she prayed that it was effective, that her friend did receive that energy. But the most amazing thing, well, I take it back to her at that moment in time, the most amazing thing happened. I don't see it as amazing anymore because I know this to be true. Over the course of the next 12 hours, because of that beautiful flush, because she sent out this wave of lovely, beautiful, subtle energy to her friend. She received that flush of beautiful, subtle energy that was flushing out the negative energy that was floating around in her own inner self. And she had a very common occurrence happen over the next 12 hours. When you have a major energetic cleanse, you can experience some digestive issues because you are removing the energy floating around you that you've been holding on to, that you've been storing forever, that you don't even realize can be released. And that was how effective that beautiful, organic, divine moment was for my lovely, dear client. She didn't want to say prayers. But after listening to this beautiful recording, I certainly hope that she sees that the word prayer is not something to be scared of. You don't have to say a prayer that includes a divine, but a prayer that says, please send them beautiful, loving, healthy energy. That's a prayer. And how beautiful is that? Allow yourself to use the word prayer. Think about what I'm saying here through the day. And all of those times that someone in your life or something that, an event that happened in this world, and you wanted to pray, but something stopped you. It was because what this brain has been formatted to think that the word prayer is a scary word. And that's the last thing that a prayer is scary. You choose what you choose how you use that word prayer. And I encourage you to come together with all of us and allow yourself to pray in the way that my client did, in the way that you find and feel that is best. Because now more than ever, in this 24/7 subtle energy world that we live in, you are connected to each other. Whether you want to realize it or not, whether you understand it or not, we are connected. And when you send that positive thought, what I call a prayer, that's something as simple as, please help them feel better. That prayer is hitting home and where it is supposed to go. And I promise you, perhaps not in the same way that my client did, but I promise you, the more positive, healing prayers that you send out, whether connected to a divine or not, the more positive energy you are bringing back, because you are making that beautiful heart and you are allowing your energy of love and care, of hope, of spirited positivity to go to that person. And in return, when you bring it in, you are receiving that same lovely flush of energy that is restoring you. It's re-energizing you. It's renewing this energetic flow within you that you're not even aware of yet. And that is the essence of your inner self. You are a personal power grid, and your inner self is unique, it is individual, and it is customized by many factors within our own individual lives. But we all have the same power grid, and we all can be connected, and we can all live this beautiful, organic, and divine life by raising our own consciousness. And today, with the word prayer no longer being scary, when you can accept my message today through this broadcast, and you can begin to use the word prayer to yourself, certainly not to the rest of the world if you choose not to, but you using that word prayer is going to open the door for you to start to see so many wonderful and beautiful things about yourself and about the world that is around you. You are a beautiful ball of powerful energy. And like my client, in a moment of pure organic divinity, her wanting to just help another person opened the door for herself and her own level of divine consciousness. And she downloaded so much beautiful energy that it flushed out of her all of the negative that she had. It was that powerful. It is that powerful, subtle energy, but it is so subtle that you don't know just what subtle energy is doing to you on a regular basis. And I was so pleased that through my personal experiences of learning and understanding and sharing subtle energy, that we are in the age of subtle energy, that I was able to help her understand exactly what went on with her and how her friend did get better, and that it was because of her prayers. Not just because of her prayers, you understand, but because of the science and the technology and all of this amazing stuff we have to make us better. It was her flush of prayer and her flush of positive healing energy that other people were sending to that woman in the hospital. All of that is what made that woman better. And when we begin to see that we have that effect with something as subtle as something we do not see called subtle energy, well then, as they say from where I grew up, the world is your oyster. Shuck that oyster, find that pearl. You are the pearl. This pearl of beautiful, flowing, positive, loving energy. And the more you come to grips with, the more you understand that energy flowing through you, the more you can send it out to receive the beauty of that lovely energy coming back to you. You be what you want the world to be. And that is such a lovely way to live your day, day after day. Thank you for listening to my broadcast. Please hit the subscribe button. Go to my website, organicdivinity.org, and please click on the like and add a subscribe to my email. Let's get connected via this wonderful thing called the internet. Thank you.